We will now begin with meditation in a couple of minutes. This is our fourth session on Vedic unified theory of matter and consciousness. We will devote first 15 minutes on Patanjali meditation, following Patanjali's book on Yog Darshanam or Yog Sutra. So my friend and colleague Sanjay Sood will guide us for meditation.
Namaste. We'll start in, I'll give a minute. We have a couple of people who do come regularly here in the Houston Arya Samaj. So I'll give them a minute if they walk in. Otherwise, we'll start sharp at 5:02. शुरू करें? कर दें start? Should we start? Okay. Namaste. My name is Sanjay Sood. So today I'll be leading the meditation. So let's start with controlling our body. Sit in a comfortable position. Cross-legged is good. If you cannot sit on Cross-legged, please sit on a chair, but make sure that your spine is straight but not stiff. Now relax. Close your eyes. Watch your breathing. Let's move on to step 2, controlling our breathing. So we'll be doing 3 cycles of abdominal breathing. Each cycle has 4 phases. Phase 1, we breathe out. Phase 2, hold it out. Phase 3, breathe in. Phase 4, hold it within. Let's start with cycle 1. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. The last cycle. Breathe out. Hold it out. Breathe in. Hold it within. Let your body take back its normal breathing rhythm. And focus on your breathing. Watch how your breaths are coming in and going out. Now, let's move on to step 3, to control our mind. So we'll recite 2 times, first in the louder voice and then in the whispering sound. And while we are reciting Gayatri Mantra, we will try to concentrate in between our eyebrows, also called the third eye. So by the second time when we have recited the Gayatri Mantra, we should be in the meditation state, the thoughtless state. So during that state, if any thought wave hits you, recite the code word Om in your mind and try to push away the thought waves. If it does not work, take a deep breath out and throw the thoughts which have entered your mind out and recite Om in your mind. Let's start with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। Om. Both of your palms together. And put them on your eyes. Slowly open your eyes. Namaste.
Welcome to the session number 4 of Vedic Unified Theory of Matter and Consciousness. In the previous 3 sessions, we have covered. The first session was devoted to introduction, the need of the hour. The modern world requires a unified theory that can explain how the material world functions and how do animate world functions, which otherwise the human society in particular is divided among two poles of science and religion. Science is fantastic, but it is not able to guide us. What should be the final objective of human life and why? Because it doesn't answer the phenomenon of consciousness in an acceptable manner. So, we do expect that the future unified theory will be present science plus certain concepts that can explain consciousness and other invisible forces behind how things work in the world. We think that's what the second session was about, that the unified theory, of course, it's very good idea to develop it from scratch, but there exists a Vedic unified theory, a readily available blueprint, because that existed prior to the birth of modern present religions, before 5,000 years. And we have an ancient civilization, namely Indus Valley civilization, which is dated 8 to 10,000 years ago. So what was the guiding principles of that civilization? Or people even inhabiting the planet Earth before that? So we looked at the readily available literature, so-called Vedic literature, and particularly before 5,000 years, because there seems to have been an event called Mahabharat War, the Great Indian War, 5,100 years, and interestingly it coincides with the time prior to which there were no religion, because all the present religions are the ones founded in last 5,000 years. So it is interesting to see what were the guiding principles for the humanity before 5,000 years. So we looked at that period, so-called pre-Mahabharata period, divided into 3 ages: Vedic age, Upanishadic age, and then Shaddarshan, when 6 books of Vedic philosophy were produced: Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Mimamsa, and Vedanta, also called Brahma Sutra. Last week, in session number 3, we devoted to ever-present question, who am I? As a human being, we are concerned with what constitutes me, what is this I, and my life, and how should I utilize it, the years of life, in an optimum manner. So we notice we are a non-physical consciousness, which is a tiny consciousness, a singularity that is enveloped with a very tiny domain of mind consisting of subatomic particles. That's the way I entered into my father's body, then got transferred to mother's body, and then I became an independent human being. So that non-physical consciousness has the inherent power of that makes me gather the knowledge and get to know the things around me, including the discriminatory ability, discerning ability, that I conclude this is this and not that, what is truth and what is untruth, what is right and wrong, and so on and so forth. My intellectual faculty. And then I go through an experience that has a wide spectrum of joy and pain, including sometimes there is a total blackout that I just cannot use my mind and I must go to sleep. And then I have an ability to act upon my surroundings. So somehow I exert something, I have a free will, and that leads to my hand waving, and I can lift certain objects. So that is action. So all these we covered and we looked at a particular Sankhya diagram, basic 25 elements. We called it a science of sciences because human mind is so powerful, it can explore all the scientific theories from the events seen in the world. We have discovered wonderful theoretical principles. And this science that we are talking in this particular course is the science of the human mind, which is the most subtle and swift system that can absorb all the scientific principles. So I will say the science of human mind is like science of sciences. Today we are going to look at, now I want to share with you the slides I have developed. So that's the starting slide. The Vedic unified theory of matter and consciousness. The session number 4. Today's title is Uniqueness of Humans. This is a very important title. I think it is quite in order to devote one session on this topic because in the modern times, the dominant thinking is so-called theory of evolution, where scientists have explored how the material world might have evolved with time. If it is really true, then we have no hesitation in accepting it. Facts are facts. And underlying scientific principles are very important and we must accept them. Theory of evolution tends to make us believe that even animate world, the species, even conscious beings, have evolved in a particular manner. Of course, nobody can say by in a absolute definite terms what might have happened in the past. But I will say we can always make a conjecture, a hypothesis, but the finality is yet to be known. So the present concept that is dominantly accepted in the society among the scientific community is that even the conscious beings have evolved in a particular manner. And they have seen the genealogy of several species. What is said is that even genome maps are just 1 minute, excuse me.
It's not broadcasting now. The slides are not there. Sound is there.
I think we will live with that. You know that one line we were trying to be away from it.
That is there. Yeah. It will take some time.
Okay. You know, in these slides, at the lower part, there is a line. We will live with it. Hopefully, it will not obstruct the matter in the slide. Or let me come back to it if it is it okay?
Not yet.
I think I will do stop sharing and come back to it again. Sorry, we have, today I thought I will use the slideshow. Let me go to my webinar room. I again do screen share. I thought slideshow is good in the sense you see the slides much better. So, but let's hope it works out. Waiting for a feedback if the viewers are getting the slide properly. So I was saying that genome mappings indicate that our genes are 95, 97, 98% same as several other species. I don't want to dispute it because our body frame is made of the same matter as that of other species are made of. So that is quite acceptable. But that should not make us conclude that human species are another transformation of other beings. When I use the term uniqueness, again there is a problem. Let me wait.
So you cannot show the taskbar.
Oh, I see there is a problem with this.
So
Or if I get away from the...
No.
Okay, I cannot show the taskbar.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can live without the taskbar. So I hope it works out better now. Let me see. If there is a problem, I will get a feedback. Okay. I was referring to the term uniqueness I am using. Of course, every species is unique from all other species. A horse is uniquely different from cow, different from camel, different from elephant. That way, human beings are also different from others. But I am using uniqueness in a very specialized manner here. That's why I decided to devote one full session on this. And as we move on, we will see what all this means. Firstly, I want to say that We human beings have a enormous freedom of thought, and that is translated into action, primarily coming from instinct versus intellect. All other species are on one side, all the millions of species, living beings, they predominantly they function via what we can say instinct. Instinct, I will say, can be described as a behavioral pattern in an identical situation. One member of the species will behave as another member will behave. We human beings exhibit very less number of instinctive features, and we are predominantly intellectual beings. Some very necessary, essential features are instinctive. For example, we are all programmed with survival instinct. So when it comes to survival, most of us will behave in a same manner. But apart from such behavioral pattern, which are very necessary and essential, we behave intellectually, and that is where we exercise enormous freedom. We weigh multiple options available to us and then conclude what is the best option. And that makes us very one member of human being. One human being will behave in a particular manner in a given situation, and in the same identical circumstances, another person will behave very differently. So that freedom of thought and that is translated into varieties of our behavioral pattern is based on our intellectual freedom. And this comment we have made earlier, as we said, all the things inanimate and all the species animate beings are destined to behave according to their dharma. So dharma is something like they must exhibit their behavior in that particular manner. Like a cow will always behave like cow, gau dharma, so to say. This is where we are different from other species. That's what I mean by uniqueness, that we are uniquely different from all other species on the one side, and we are alone on the other side, and no other species exhibits that kind of unique parameters or behavioral patterns. So, in this form, what we are saying is only we have the opportunity or freedom or possibility to deviate from our dharma, though we may be aware of what is desirable characteristics we should be exhibiting. The human dharma, I may be knowing that I should be truthful. I should not see a young woman with a sense of lust. I should not kill somebody for no reason, things like that. Yet I may behave in the undesirable manner. So I may do according to dharma or exhibit so called adharma, deviate from. I may know what is right and wrong and still. And for other species, there is no duality. They just know what is right and they do it. So we have to bother about all these dualities of what is truth and false, what is so called punya, the righteous behavior, and pap, the wrongful behavior, etc. So all this boils down to we have multiple options and choices, and we have not unlimited freedom. Within the broad framework of limitations, we have enormous freedom to choose the options or the choice that we think we want to choose. That brings us to a technical term. All the other species are in so-called bhog yoni. Yoni is a species. Bhog is going through experience of joy and pain. And we are what is called as karma yoni, which is quite a technical term, as if only human beings have the privilege to decide and execute a particular kind of karma. Of course, others also do a lot of things, but we will look at that as a activity and rather than karma. They also run, they also collect food, and they also give rise to the birth of offspring and bring them up, do make shelters, and many things are common, but they are not quite doing karma. Of course, grammatically, we will say the cow is doing this. So, cow is, so to say, active performer, but it is not quite a karma in the sense she is not driven by uh, executing a particular action out of multiple choices. She is just programmed to do it in that particular manner, and she is doing it. So that is what karma in this particular sense is. It's a very narrow word, technical term. Something I am doing out of multiple options I had. So that is a privilege only for human beings. So we say we are in karma yoni, while others simply go through the rewards of the previous life when they were in the human phase and they collected certain rewards of action. So that's what we'll be discussing as law of karma in few moments later. So they are merely going through the rewards of their previous actions when they exercise their freedom. So there was a time when that particular tiny consciousness was in karma yoni as a human being, when it exercised its freedom, and that freedom accumulated certain rewards that led to the one life as taking birth as a cow, as a horse, or as a lion, or whatever it is. So, even in our body domain, of course, our mind domain has a intellectual faculty. Our body domain also exhibits some powerful things, which we'll say we have two hands, and we can stand and sit for hours with our hands free to do certain things, which are nothing but our karma. So, as if even in our body domain, we have a fantastic instrument, namely hands, to translate our wonderful ideas into actions, which doesn't seem like any other species exactly has like that, not to that extent like we have. Of course, with all these freedoms we have, ideally, karma should align with dharma, and that's what will be very desirable. Of course, somebody may say, if all of us, everybody behaved according to our dharma, it would have been a wonderful world. Yes, it would have been a wonderful world in a way, but then we would also be another animal. So, this freedom of thought and action is very peculiar with human beings, and there must be a grand design and objective. That's what will be the focus of this presentation. So, with the freedom that we have, freedom brings responsibility and accountability. So, there's no denial about it, we are the most responsible species on the earth, and we can destroy it, which nobody can destroy like this, like we can destroy. And we can also improve the quality of life and change the flavor and color of the earth in a positive direction also. So all these are in our hands, in our minds, and we can do it if we act responsibly. Irrespective of how we act, we are accountable to the agency, which will be the focus of the next session, so called that infinite consciousness, who has given us all this field. But today our focus is on us and our unique parameters. So, with responsibility comes accountability. We become accountable to the agency who gave us the freedom. And that accountability is in the through the principle of the law of karma, which common man appreciates and knows it, which is simple law of cause and effect, but translated into conscious human beings, simply stated as you reap what we sow. And almost every human being is aware of it, if not of very fantastic statement of the law. But we all fully abide by it. We are aware of it, that depending on what I do, it, there will be a equal and opposite reaction. Somehow, my actions will come back to me after a full cycle. So I will have to go through the rewards of what I have done. If not in the next moment, maybe a day later, a week later, a month later, or in the next life, whatever it is. But it will certainly come back to me. So, as we said, human life is a reference point or reference line, which is where I have the freedom and I can utilize the freedom. And if I go down the slide, if I have misused it, then of course this freedom is curtailed. And then after the death, when it comes to the next birth, I may be the freedom is curtailed because I misused it in my human reference line. Then I have to take the form of some other species life forms. So human life is a reference line where I have all these privileges. And like in our human society, if somebody misuses his freedom, we imprison him. His freedom is curtailed. And that law of land is probably in the image of the law of karma. So this is how the world is being managed. And we also manage our community, society, and nation in a similar manner. This is a slide which I used last time, so-called Sankhya diagram. What I said in the introductory remark, as it exhibits signs of sciences, because we appreciate the human mind here. Actually, it is not just the human mind, it is the mind of all the species, because all of us are, so to say, a composite of body, mind, and that tiny consciousness. So I'm trying to draw your attention to this. This what we call a chitta, buddhi, is my desktop, and we are using it every moment. This just shows very swiftly what is to be noticed at that particular moment. This does not retain anything. So retention is the possibility with my device called ahankar, tentatively translated as memory. But this is storing all the information and data, all my signatures, all my sanskars, everything is stored here. Indeed, this is where very raw information data will be stored when I leave this present body of mine. And that will take me into the next life. Suppose in the next life I were to be an cow or horse, something like that. Then that grand designer has a possibility to all that signatures I have created of my own, he will program it as instinctive program for a cow, for a horse, and so on and so forth. So this is where all my instinctive programming is stored. Then say as a cow, the system is the same, and this is my programming as a cow, and then I behave as a cow with my 5 senses, 5 outgoing motor organs. Everything is all same, except the program here is, which is now instrumental, is functioning, is a program for the species called cow. So this is where that instinct versus intellect probably is exercised. And I will make a remark here. This is how the very first set of humans who were embedded, this is, I will say, embedding in mind, embedded with the words and knowledge of the Vedas. So this is a mechanism to take birth with a ready set of ideas and knowledge. Then, of course, as we'll discuss later, something I am not born with, but still I can capture from a flash, is called Sampajat Samadhi. That occurs here, and then I put it in my memory. So all these are intricate functioning, of course, element of speculation, but this is how it must be happening, because there is no other way it can happen. So this slide is to show you the instinct versus intellect and how instinctive programming is embedded in a particular mind of a particular member of the particular species. Otherwise, the instruments is same, its content is different. That's the point I am trying to make here. Let's move on. I made a reference to law of karma, and I borrow one Ved mantra from Atharvaved 12.3.48. Na kilvishmatya nadharo asti na yanmitya samamaman eti. Anunam patyam nihitam na etat paktaram pakva punaya vishati. So there is no imperfection in the universe. Of course, we are likely to see everything is perfect, so it's to do with law of karma. If law of natural forces are perfect, fantastic, that is what governs the matter, then law of karma must also be perfect, and that's what governs all our consciousness. That's what decided that according to the law of karma, I took birth in a particular family of my parents and so on and so forth. So all this must be working in a perfect manner, as the corresponding laws of the nature that govern matter, and the law of karma governs all tiny consciousness. There can be no deviation from the law of karma, that is, no favoritism is entertained, simply because of the reason nobody comes with friends. You are responsible for your karma. You cannot say, I was instigated by that book or that human being or so such and such person suggested me to do this, and finally what you have done, you are held responsible. Nor do they obtain rewards for your karma. So what you have finally done, you will be rewarded accordingly. Anunam patyam nihitam, the vessel of karma, as if that ahankar is our vessel, is filled by your karma in the form of sanskar, and is fully secured that nothing can spill out of it or add into it. People have these doubts, but because some karma beings, they evolve at a much later phase. So gestation period of certain karma, different karma is different. And no anything can add into it. It is exactly what you have added into it. Which can be said in other words as if you eat what you have cooked. Or in other words, you reap what you sow. Which most of us believe instinctively, but sometimes we forget. So this is very important. So today's presentation is basically, I divide into three parts, as this red letter is saying, to know, because this tiny consciousness has that three inherent power: to know, to act, and to experience. Whichever order, sometimes might have put the order in a different manner, but today we are discussing in this order. Even a tiny consciousness of an animal is also capable of these three powers. So how does it, if tiny consciousness is same, then the envelopes of mind and body, they must be designed in a particular manner that as a human being, I have certain unique features which are different from others. So that's what I want to discuss in these three sections. So let's look at to know. So we have inquisitiveness about everything, everything under the sky and even beyond it, and even at old age. So this is right from the birth, even as a child, we seek to know everything. We ask our parents, our teachers, we are willing to learn, though it may diminish with age because of ego or whatever it is, or limitations, but we preserve it even at old age. As if I gather the knowledge, it will go with me. So there is something overpowering in everybody's mind. Even if somebody is bedridden, doctors have declared that they are just few days to die, yet that person may be eager to learn something new. He may have that inquisitiveness. That is very fantastic in us, and that is not that easily visible in animals, at least we don't know of it. Because they already come programmed with their requisite knowledge in the form of their instinct. They have naturally acquired the necessary knowledge that they are interested in, they would be concerned with, that is embedded in their mind. We are born with much less instinctive knowledge. We are always open to know more. That is the point being made here. And there is no limit. We don't limit ourselves to the visible things and forces. Like our fine scientists, they try to explore even the invisible, even the stars and galaxies billions of light years away. So there is nothing which is out of purview. Everything is subject to human inquiry. And that's what this unified theory is concerned with. Even the invisible forces behind us, our consciousness, where does it arise from? Nobody can say. That is not in our scope of inquiry. Everything is under our scanner. How do things function? Even the paradoxically different events, though we are embedded with that survival instinct, some human beings want to commit suicide. Why these things happen? We want to explain everything in a rigorous, rational, logical manner. And that's what we are examining if Vedic unified theory of matter and consciousness will help us. When it comes to the faculty of knowledge and gathering, we know it. We don't create knowledge. We have to be humble enough. Knowledge is to know a thing as it is. We have not created anything in the world. Even if we have created like this laptop computer, it has been made out of so many raw materials which we have taken from the natural sources. There is nothing we can create out of nothing. So we always need a basic raw material, then we don't quite create things, we transform them in a particular manner. So if we don't even create things, nothing to talk about creating knowledge. So the right word is, and that's the way we say, we merely discover the knowledge. What theory of gravitational force was always there. Earth has been always pulling things towards its center of gravity. But one day we came to know of it. We made a statement around it. So that is discovery of knowledge, not creation of knowledge. Because knowledge always exists in the universe. Nothing is out of my purview. Fantastic, instinctive feature. We want to transmit knowledge to other person. As a teacher, I want to teach. As a parent, I want to pass on to my children. And this has a probably most sacrosanct faculty of human pursuit, is it not? Transmission of knowledge. So education is, everybody values it. Because this is what it is about. Transmission of knowledge is an important pursuit, if not most important, among humans. So education via school, universities, media, there are all kinds of, nothing is being utilized, left from even internet, periodicals, or even on the streets we have hoardings. We want to transmit to others what we think is a fantastic idea. This is very much part of us. This is not seen among other species. And for other species, we might have built hospitals and many other things, but we haven't opened schools and other colleges for dogs or cats or something. Yes, we try to educate them. Let's say for circus, we might train some animals in a particular manner. But again, those particular animals are not interested in teaching those skills to other fellow members. That is missing in. So this is something very unique with us. All this is in the direction of knowledge. If that being the case, the last item is important. If I learn everything from others, where did the things start rolling? That's where we have discussed earlier. The ball gets rolling from the Vedas. Just like before I opened my eyes, the sun was there so that outer light facilitated my organ of sight. In the same manner, there must be the word and the knowledge of the Vedas so that there is an inner light for my intellectual faculty to benefit from. This we have covered already, but it is all under the overall framework of knowledge. This I have presented to you in my first slide with mantra for. This is unique with human being, that always the satya and asatya, truth and falsehood. Suvijnanam, vijnan is to getting to know it, right at our chitta, buddhi level. At buddhi, when I conclude, that is called vijnana. I know it. I know exactly what it is. Chikituse Janaya. Janaya is for all human beings. Satya, Asatya. I have that duality of truth and falsehood. I must weigh them, exercising my intellectual faculty, because both truth and falsehood will weigh paspradhate, as if there is a competition among them, patispardha. And then I must weigh them properly and conclude what is truth. Tayo yat satyam, out of them what is definitely truthful, I must follow that, and that will protect me, avati, hantya asat. And on the same token, I must be watchful that the falsehood does not propagate further, nip in the bud, so to say. I don't want to teach my child the wrongful notions, only the truthful concepts. So that the wrongful ideas, superstitious ideas, they must vanish. Must not go on to the next generation. Like today we have funny ideas. A suicide bomber, he kills 30 or 50 innocent people whom he doesn't even know. There is no personal animosity, no personal enmity. Still, he wants to kill them. And for this task, he is willing to give his own life. These are senseless ideas. How do people get it? And if somebody has it, it should not be allowed to pass on to the next generation. So, as an intelligent, responsible human being, we have twofold responsibility to pass on the truthful, useful ideas to the next generation and to not let the wrongful ideas pass on to the next generation. We have to work at both the fronts. This much so about the knowledge faculty. Now the action. Again, looking at the unique features with human being. There are two basic ideas I am looking at. First is fantastic, but that is really my focus. But I do want to point out so-called specialization and division of labor. Among human beings, we have different trades, right from accountant to zookeeper. There are multiple, hundreds, thousands of possibilities. So we hone our skills, we gather requisite knowledge in university, etc., to become a qualified person in a particular career path. We don't see this in other species. Of course, in other species, some may be having more strength, physical strength, some may have less. There may be some minute differences, but not so much like we have. Somebody works 8 hours a day on a desk, somebody works 8 hours a day in a hot sun. All kinds of different possibilities are there. That is just mere specialization and division of labor. Doctors, engineers, architects, all this. But the second is very, very important, which is absolutely missing in all other species. Whatever career we are in, I can be a good human being or a bad human being, depending on how I interact with others, whether I harm others or help others. So that's what leads to categories of good and bad human beings. And the Sanskrit term I am using because this is very unique from the Vedic terminology. The human society is broadly the average human being called Manushya, very noble people called Devta, and on the downside, bad people who can harm others without gains, or even without gains, like I talked about that suicide bomb. They are to be in this category, Rakshas. Rakshas, if you see him, he is likely to harm you. Manushya will give you, will maintain the balance of give and take. If he takes away something from you, he will give you something in equal measure. Devata is a fantastic person who will give you peace, happiness, goodness, and may take almost nothing from you. So we see every human society has these categories of people. Only the proportions may vary. In a bad society, maybe this proportion is more. In a very good community, this proportion is more. And just like in any case, like we can say economically, this is a middle class, this is a poor man, this is a rich man. And somebody will say, somewhere in between, there is a upper middle class or lower middle class and things like that. So on that token, we have 5 terms. It's not going to come, but I have borrowed a Ved mantra. So just being these terms, nothing fantastic here. Between Devata and Manushya, there is a category called Pita. Between Manushya and Rakshas, there is a category called Gandharva. Just to give you an example, this is a bad person but does not look bad. Rakshas, visibly you can see sometimes he comes with a gun in his hand or some other sword in his hand, but a Gandharva may not. He may appear a nice man and he may even claim he wants to benefit you, but at the end of the day, he cheats you. We have these kind of people. They look so nice. I shouldn't characterize anybody, but say most of the politicians will be, at least in certain countries, will be in this category. They say, I want just one vote for you and then I will benefit you, but then they disappear. So Pitta is somewhere in between who may take something from you but still give you much more. So there is nothing much explanation is required. It is obvious. And I borrowed a Rigveda term here, Manu Bhava Janaya Devyam Janam. I like this very much, where as the Vedas are telling me, become a human being at least. And what is our objective? Give birth to Devatva, this nobility, within yourself and also in your next generation. Try to bring your children better than what you are. So if you see that design, this is fantastic world. As a father, as a mother, we never get envious if our child is progressing, even overtaking us, is it not? So that instinctive thing is there, as if I want my child to even overtake me in certain positive traits. But I want to highlight this beautiful term, Manu Bhava. This is become. This is very important because common man thinks we are all human beings simply by virtue of being a human being. But that is not the Vedic principle. We may look like a human being, but there is no option. It is not as simple as merely being a human being. If you are not conscious that you have to become a human being, there is a very great possibility that you will slide down. So that is why the word is become a human being. Very fantastic message here that we have to be watchful every moment that I should not let myself go to the downslide. At least remain, at least. Because I took birth as a human being, I shouldn't let down that entity who has sent me into this world, who is my supreme mother and father. and at least remain as a Manushya. And if possible, that's the message, Janaya Devyam Janam. Go in this direction. Let's move on. This is fantastic design. This is unique. That's what we are talking. Unique parameters, unique features. Because only as a human being, even though I know what is the righteous path, I may, for petty reasons, due to certain temptations, I can go on the wrongful path, do wrong, become like a Rakshas or Gandharv, harm somebody for my personal gain, just to maximize my sensual pleasures, earn money in an easy way. These are wrongful things. And many of us get tempted when the opportunity comes. When we are about to execute a wrongful act, then there is an inner voice warning us 3 times, one after another, with doubt, fear, and shame. If I am about to do something wrong, there is an element of doubt in me. I become shaky. I have to overcome that if I still want to insist on doing that wrongful thing. That element of doubt is it right? Today I might have become a hardcore criminal. I may refuse to admit that there is an inner voice like this. But even that hardcore criminal, if he goes back, first time he did something, first time you spoke a lie as a child, maybe 8, 10-year old, there was. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. There was a powerful inner voice, and you had to overcome that. Is it not? It is not easy to go on the wrongful path, but as we grow up, we master those arts, many of us. We habitually become a passenger on the wrongful path, is it not? But we cannot deny this inner voice. It was there first time we did it, or even today at this age, because I am a non-smoker. Suppose I want to smoke today, I will be, I will have to go through these 3 obstacles, these 3 warnings. First is doubt, is it right? Then fear. I will look around if somebody is seeing me. Then I will wait for a moment. If somehow there is an evidence and some inquiry, investigation, and they find out that I did this, then how will it look to me? I will be very shameful. To overcome this triple warning, conscious. I don't think any other species go through it because they are always on the righteous path, dharma. Only as a human being we can, because we have those options, we can tread on the wrongful path, and that's why it is that beautiful design of that designer who gave us the freedom, yet he wants to guide me. It arises in every human's mind within a universal feature. Other species do not quite need this inner voice. So that's is unique. Intellect of Devatas and Pitayas. Yam medham devganaha pitayaschopasate. Taya ma madhya medhayagne medhavinam kuru swaha. Swaha means su and aha. I am saying these words very thoughtfully. What am I saying? I see in this world every one of us buddhi, intellectual faculty, but they are good quality people, devatas and pitas. Their buddhi is a higher level that is called medha. Then today I say, by virtue of that same medha, taya medhaya, mam is to me, adya means right now, may I possess the same medha. So Devatas and Pitas possess a fine intellect called medha, and that Agni, who is our guide, who is always ahead of us, Agyana, can it bless me with that medha right now? I want to make my intellectual faculty loftier. A loftier faculty, intellectual faculty will take me towards positive path, righteous path. The third dimension of experience, this is many things are common with us and they also want to get away from pain. All species get away from pain, dukkha, and if possible, they want to move toward joy and happiness. Sukha, is it not? So that is common with us, with them also. But we have certain unique features here also. Consider a pet dog. There is an owner who is concerned with quality of life of his dog and he is constantly thinking of how to do it. And he knows that he can raise the quality of his dog's life by good food, providing a mate, probably a shelter. If it is too hot a weather, maybe some sort of air conditioning. If it is too cold, some sort of heating, or maybe putting a layer of clothing and all this. Whatever we can think of. Water, this and that. But this gentleman cannot think beyond certain point. There is a point of saturation. You cannot do more to improve your dog's life. That's enough at one point. But you consider a human being, a layman, a man on the street, and you ask him, where are you running around for the whole day? He says, I want to improve my life. Okay, we will give you anything you want. Lot of money, yes, we can give you millions of dollars. Beautiful house, yes. One young, beautiful wife, good children. What else? If he gives me a list of things, let's say the government is saying we will give you everything you want. Just a hypothetical situation. Let us revisit him after a month. Do you think he will be the happiest man on the world? No, is it not? We don't have to go far away, we can imagine. He will have another list, or he will have some other things he is worried about. That his neighbors went through the flood. There was an earthquake, there is a wildfire, what is happening in Syria, people are killing others. He will say, I am very disturbed by all this. So there is always a pain and suffering for a human being, and he is always struggling to improve his quality of life wherever he is. So we ask a question. Is the human life destined to be open-ended? There is no point of saturation. Is it supposed to be Maya's life? Like a Maya's experience. We think there is a water, we go there, gone further away, never to find it. Are we? That's the question we are asking. Is human life supposed to end like this? Yes or no? What is the answer? If it is really yes, then let us live the way we are living, cutting throats, trying to maximize our sensual pleasures. There is nothing more than that. But if it is answer is no, then we need to think more, is it not? That's what this unified theory is taking the direction. That answer is no. Because in the whole universe, we see it is a perfect, wonderful design. If all human beings get thirsty, if they all need water, there is water in the world. We just have to get it, find it, do some work, dig some depth, find a well, or walk some distance to find a lake. But it could not happen that we all get thirsty and there is no water in the world. If we all get hungry, there is a mechanism to take care of hunger. So if this is an open-ended thing, this should not be, doesn't tally with, this will become an ill-designed world, is it not? But there is no such parameter that points to it is an ill-designed world. We know it is well-designed world. So there must be a finality to our point of saturation. And that's what is unique features with us. That's what is Ishwar Upasana. Why it is so important. Why we sit for meditation. Only human beings are concerned. That's our unique feature, absolutely absent. And there have been many things I have shown you in this presentation. They are absent in all other species. And this is the most powerful feature. Other features were also equally powerful. I don't have to categorize them. So we go through three well-known states. We are wakeful, like at this point, body and mind are active. We are in dream states when mind seems to be active, but bodily we are inactive. And once in a while, we wake up from deep sleep when body and mind were fully restful. And the moment we emerge from deep sleep, we do say, if we emerge in a natural manner, that was fantastic. I feel light and restful. I enjoyed that sleep, isn't it? And indeed, we have used these arguments last week to prove existence of my tiny consciousness. That is the common parameter in all these three aspects. But today we desire to be in the fourth state via meditation. So meditation is none of them. Because we are bringing our body and mind both inactive, almost like in deep sleep, but it is different from deep sleep. We are not lying in bed. We are in a sitting posture, preserving our awareness, meditation, and trying to get through this experience, which is very fantastic, very objective. Everybody finds it good. What is that which is universally good experience? We want to see it in a real time. So that's what we say is Ishwar Upasana, to be with that infinite consciousness, which can be happening only if I am disconnected from body and mind. Then I can probably taste that absolute happiness, which was there in deep sleep, but I was not aware of it. Now in consciousness. And once I have attained that, then I will say, I don't want any other experience in the world. That is the finality of joy and happiness in human life. So that is very powerful feature of this. Sano bandhu janita savidhata dhamani veda bhunani vishwa. Yatya deva, that noble people. Amritam, an endless pleasure. Every pleasure has lifetime, but that has no life. Manashana, if I enjoy that, if I eat or drink that, the third kind of pleasure, then I will really feel that my life is well enjoyed. So what are these three kinds of pleasures? When body and mind are active, then I go through a spectrum of pleasure and pain, sukh and dukh. The lifetime is very short, as long as that object of pleasure is in touch with my sensual organ. And that is highly subjective. Somebody likes cup of tea, somebody likes cup of coffee. There is no universality. When we do something with mind, like solving a complex mathematical problem or creative something, still in those occasions, say I am in dream state. My mind may go through peaceful or disturbed state, shanti or shanti. That pleasure's lifetime may be comparatively long, it may be much less subjective. But finally, when both body and mind are inactive, I will get absolute pleasure. Blissful, that has a term, ananda, no negative counterpart. That lifetime, that influences me for long. You just become a different person. They don't quite change your personality, but this changes you. And here it is universal. Everybody will say, I enjoyed. Let me quickly summarize it. I am exceeding my time. We'll just read it out, nothing more than that. 3 slides, but I am just reading the words. Humans are uniquely differ from all other species on account of all the 3 dimensions of knowledge, action, and experience. In the knowledge direction, we have seen intellect versus instinct. Intellect is our discriminating ability to discern between right and wrong. We are interested in such questions as who am I? Where did the world come from? Where I came from? Where will I go from here? What should I achieve in life? These questions bother us. We are engaged in transmission of knowledge. We benefit from the Vedas. Action. We see division of labor, specialization in trade. We have freedom to deviate from our dharma. That leads to categorization in our community, bad, average, and superior. Rakshas Manushyanti. Accountability of freedom in karma is via the law of karma, which is the counterpart of the laws of nature that govern matter. Purpose of the law of karma is that karma should align with dharma. 3-level inner warning, doubt, fear, and shame, so that we stick to the path of dharma. This is beautiful design. We become naturally a devata when we become a father or mother. We want to give to our child without expecting anything in return. That's what the beautiful design is doing. Doesn't even teach us, it makes us a devata. In the direction of experience, we seem to have open-ended pursuit of joy, pleasure, and happiness. There is no end to it. We are never in a saturated state. But we know it is a well-designed universe, and hence there must be a finality, happiness that we seek. Otherwise, it will be ill-designed world, a mirage-like life. It does exist, of which we get a faint experience when we emerge from deep sleep, when both body and mind were inactive. We want to create a replica of that. Deep in meditation, we can taste it in real time, the third kind of pleasure. We must conclude that we are different from other species by design. So I have tried to tell you how we are uniquely different from other species that cannot be taken care of simply by saying 95% genome mapping, is it not? That's what we are looking at. Next week, we will devote to that infinite consciousness, another non-physical consciousness. Thank you very much for joining.